How's everybody doing tonight? Just decided to go live. I know everybody's watching basketball, but it's all good. Let me share my screen. I am slow tonight. So we're gonna talk about IBM, uh, cybersecurity. Those centers they're putting up in HBCUs. I thought that was super cool. So I'm gonna chop that up tonight. So let's see. I'm moving slow tonight. Okay, there I am. So you know how we do it. Just got any cybersecurity questions or tech questions? Just drop them in the box. Trying to get motivated tonight. Been studying a lot, which is all cool though. I can't complain. I can't complain. So let's see. Check my phone. At the time it hangs. So there we go. So once again, just in the HBCUs, I saw a lot of people commenting on this. Shout out to Struggle Security. I saw him on LinkedIn giving it a thumbs up. So I thought that's one reason I would do it. So like I said, was watching a little basketball. So and I just switched it up. So I'm sure a few people will drop in. It's all good. Just gonna check on the replay. So let's get started. So you see the thumbnail, IBM Cybersecurity Centers, HBCUs, big IBM sign. Of course, IBM dominated in the mainframe days. They were doing a little bit in the 80s with the personal computers, but a lot of people really don't realize they're super big in quantum computing, hybrid computing. So they're still they're still around, more than 100 years. They start off with the typewriter. So just putting in work. What's up, Hillman? Glad you could join me. All good. Like I said, I was watching a little basketball and switched it up. So we're gonna get into it. Like I said, just check the salute. Just check me out on the replay. So let's get into it. So there's the quick article. Let me make that bigger for the old people. Me being the old people. So that's pretty good. If you got any questions, just drop them in the box. IBM, six Black College getting cybersecurity centers. I think that's a good thing because all good. Yeah, I spec with basketball when I came on late. So all good, Helm. Six Black Colleges getting cybersecurity centers. The school are Xavier University of Louisiana, Southern University Systems, North Carolina A&T, Southern Carolina State, Clark Atlanta, and Morgan State University. So those are the six Black colleges. This is good stuff, though. I appreciate it. So yeah, so I thought it was something a little different. So six historically Black universities, five in Southern states will be getting the first IBM cybersecurity event of training of underrepresented communities, the company said. Once again, the schools are Xavier, Southern University, North Carolina A&T, Southern Carolina State, Clark Atlanta, and Morgan State Universities. All right, so technology related services. Oh yeah, IBM is still good, man. They still make a ton of money. They're actually focusing on hybrid computing, quantum computing, cybersecurity. So they're in a lot of niche stuff, but like I said, they've been dominating for 800. They're actually making a little rebound with the hybrid computing. Technology services are in constant demand, and cybersecurity is paramount, said Dr. Ray Belton, president of Southern University. These centers will give students, staff, and faculty access to modern technologies, resource, and skill development, said Dr. Swan, chairman, professor of computer science and mathematics at South Carolina State in Orangeburg. And see, I'm hoping that too. That what's up, Anders? That these are going to be super technology centers in Black universities, hopefully to get more Black people into cybersecurity, IT, period, quantum computing. That's what he said. And it would further enhance our ongoing activities in several key areas, including cybersecurity, data science analytics, cloud computing, IoT, blockchain, design thinking, quantum computing, and artificial intelligence. Right. So those are, you know, what, 5 or 6 key areas in the technology. I wasn't there. Reaching the security beats you targeted. Yeah, I did that one. It was at a rural black college in right out of Illinois. They actually shut down, so took them out. I did a little video on that, but yeah. What's up, Anders? Once again, IBM said it plans to more than 20 such centers at historically black universities, black colleges, and universities nationwide. The company said each school will get customized courses, access to company academic programs. They will also be able to experience simulated but realistic cyber attacks through IBM's Security Command Center. The company said also will provide faculty and students free access to multiple SaaS IBM cloud environments. Xavier's in New Orleans, North Carolina. AT&T is in Greensboro. Um, let me read that one again. So what they're going to focus on were the key areas: cybersecurity, data science, analytics, cloud computing, IoT, blockchain, design thinking, quantum computing, and artificial intelligence. So I was just looking up what this was an article. It's actually 2022. Black employees just makes up 7.4% of tech workforce, and these nonprofits are trying to change it. Once again, I was surprised it was 7.4%. Many Americans have changed career path for tech jobs in recent years. They generally pay well and have good benefits. However, despite growing popularity, Black talent is extremely underrepresented. Women account for 26% of tech workforce. Black women account for only 1.7. Black professionals as a whole counts for 7.4%. Right. What's up, Wild? Glad you can join me. So, once again, so I think those IBM spinning up those cyber centers and HBCUs hopefully will get more excitement into tech and actually help tech grow in the community. So let's read this quick. Jeffries surveyed more than 1,000 Black adults. Over 6 in 10 did not currently work in digital IT, but will be open to career changes. Yet half of those surveys said they were unsure where to begin or the lack of financial resources or skills, right? So that's one thing about the manosphere. There's a ton of guys out there. Textual Chatter, we know Black Heights, Tech G, the Kev Tech, Keep It Techie. There's some people, Master IT. There's a ton of people, trying to help people, get in IT and, as they say, get the bag. So when we talk about 7%, that's all minorities, right? So let's read this one. This is actually from IBM's website. I'm just trying to get their feel of what they were trying to grow out of their cybersecurity. So IBM tackles talent shortage and cybersecurity crisis with new expanded partnership. IBM collaborated with the United States Department of Veteran Affairs, Special Team Foundation, and historical Black Colleges University to train underrepresented communities on technology, right? So my man there, he's putting in work, getting that tech. All right. Weird thing though, a lot of times is I've been on YouTube so long, all the tech guys are kind of mushed together. So I think it makes it seem like there's more people in tech than there really is, right? Because when I go to work, it's pretty thin. So IBM today announced initiatives for the Department of Veteran Affairs. Once again, the foundation and the historically Black colleges, we just named them off to provide no-cost STEM jobs training for United States military veterans, neurodivergent learners, and university students underrepresented. These collaborations under IBM's focus on providing STEM job training to the traditionally unrepresented community as part of a commitment to skill 30 million people worldwide by 2030 to create equitable and inclusive economic opportunities while also addressing the long-standing STEM job shortage impacting the business community. Right. So from IBM standpoint, that makes sense. It's a nice give back. Like I said, putting them in those colleges. Hopefully, I work in a large state, and we're actually our SOC is ran by a couple of big local colleges. So hopefully, they're getting some work from the state to help grow them and fix them. Um, our state is trying to do a government private partnership to help people with cybersecurity because your state's trying to protect small business and medium businesses from cybersecurity hacks and get lost. And the stock will do well too. Yeah, I think so. I think that'll be a win-win. So let's listen to their short little video where they were talking about this.
To skill 30 million people by 2030, IBM is addressing the global talent shortage and cybersecurity crisis with new and expanded partnerships with historically Black colleges and universities, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, and Specialist Stern Foundation. Through Cybersecurity Leadership Centers, students at HBCUs will have access to an immersive learning experience designed to expand the school's capacity to foster top talent in cybersecurity.
So once again, those three universities, those six universities: North Carolina A&T, Southern, Clark Atlanta, Xavier University, Morgan State, and South Carolina State. Right. So they're trying to bring top talent in cybersecurity, and just making it more equitable.
IBM is also partnering with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and a Specialist Stern Foundation through IBM Skills Build to establish a resource for veterans and members of the neurodivergent community looking to pursue customized learning paths.
Yeah, I was just giving a shout out to Tech G right there. Go check him out. IBM is starting in cybersecurity, but before you get into cybersecurity, you got to start off with the basic. Go check my man Tech G out. He was right on cue. But once again, the veterans too. He's a veteran. IBM is giving special resources to veterans too to take advantage of this program.
This includes accelerated, non-traditional job training for high-demand careers in tech. IBM Skills Build and the Specialist Stern Foundation will provide job training to members of the neurodivergent community across 13 countries. IBM is committed to extending skills training and providing credentials to individuals who are underrepresented in technology fields, and will continue to pursue educational partnerships to advance this commitment.
So shout out to IBM. They trying to address the the shortfall. Do a little computer activists, and we've been talking about it. Tech G and a lot of people leading the charge. We need to get more Black people in IT. Right? You're talking about good job, good benefits, top 6% of probably careers when you're talking about salaries and everything. I'll drop the link if you want to come up. So, like I said, I'm just gonna read a couple more articles. I just thought it was a good article. So let's finish reading. We're on IBM's website, their press release. Like they talk about United States Department of Veteran Affairs with their IBM skills. We'll be an enhanced resource training services member who will seek job training credentials through the VA to pursue a career for completing their military services, together with VA veterans employment through technology education, VTech employer curriculum. IBM will help military veterans pursue customized learning paths and non-traditional job training. So that's cool. We're talking about, all the time that there's many ways. You don't have to get a degree. And I think IBM and the government now, you can use your GI Bill for boot camps, colleges, certain certifications, right? So there's many different ways in there. So like you said, IBM said, you can go non-traditional route. So IBM's chairman, CVO pledged for IBM to partner with the HBCUs for Cybersecurity Leadership Center with the goal of building more diverse United States cyber workforce. Today, IBM announces this once again, 6 or more of them, 20. Once again, North Carolina, A&T, Southern University, Clark Atlanta University, Xavier University, Morgan State. Participant university will have access to customized multi-year cybersecurity experience with IBM, including cybersecurity curriculum, cloud access, immersing learning experience to expand HBCU's capacity to develop top talent in cybersecurity. First, salute, just I appreciate it, man. Shout out to the Black Blaring Trust. I'm always over there. It's been a minute though, but shout out to them. Once again, we're always talked about too, like they're just saying, cybersecurity curriculum will be developed for each HBCU, customized IBM security learning portal, including courses, enhanced cybersecurity educational portfolio. Right, like we said, there's many ways to get in tech. It's just not degrees, certification degrees, a mix. All right, too, and especially when you talk about cybersecurity, that's just a broad path. You can do everything from auditing, SOC, red team, blue team, purple team, management, PMO, managing security projects. There's just a ton of ways to get in there. So, immersing learning, faculty and students will have opportunity to benefit from IBM's command center, through which the experience highly realistic simulated cyber attacks designed to prepare and train you for those. So that's red team too, right? So they got simulations. Denial of service attacks, talking about wiper attacks where it actually damages the hard drive. So a lot of that you can simulate in their center. Hey, G, I was just showing love. Got to watch this later. I'm driving my truck late tonight. That's cool. Be safe out there. Cloud access. IBM's got their cloud. IBM will provide faculty with no cost to the SaaS IBM. So two is they want students to start using their cloud. Everybody's talking about Amazon, Azure, and even Google. So IBM's trying to get their cloud big play. Also, IBM's real big into quantum computing, cybersecurity, and those kind of niche things. Hybrid cloud, where you can be in Amazon and Azure at the same time, right? Because every now and then Amazon will go down for a minute, or Azure will go down, right? So if you need something like we talk about autonomous cars, space flight, you can't have any downtime, right? So you might want to do a hybrid cloud and go on both of those. And each one of those clouds kind of specialize in different things too. As far as the Azure versus Amazon versus Google versus IBM, right? So, and my favorite one, Oracle. So, special team foundation together. IBM skills will be tailored to training needs of neurodivergent individuals in 13 countries. Help harness the talent of autistic persons and those who profile with HD, HDD, OCD, and dyslexia, right? So those type of neurological, depending on what they are, right, they can actually benefit you in cybersecurity, right? I'm kind of weird and goofy. I can read 1,200 pages of cybersecurity stuff, right? That's my OCD of trying to really learn something inside and out, right? So that's a special thing of just concentrating for super long times and not leading. But so IBM is committed to extending skills once again. We believe the most promising job candidates for today's demanding careers. Once again, we want veterans to have many pathways to employment. Principal Deputy Undersecretary of Benefits. NC being chosen as one of the first cybersecurity leaders is a great privilege. We provide our students with access to top-notch education, technologies, and industrial. We ensure a cybersecurity workforce will be diverse, experienced, capable of protecting the country. The PhD Director of Center of Excellence for Cybersecurity Research, Education, and Outreach. IBM recognized the untapped talent at HBCUs. And with this investment, they're building a cybersecurity education infrastructure that will propel underrepresented communities to the forefront of security leadership. So that I'm gonna read that again. They are building cybersecurity education infrastructure that will propel underrepresented communities to the forefront of security leadership. But once again, especially if you're talking about FBAs and ADOS, I think we're probably in cybersecurity or IT, probably half of that. What, 3%? Right. So we got to make sure people are seeking out these skills, seeking out these talent, and trying to get in IT, right? Because really, that's the future, right? There's a ton of ways to make different money, but that's really one of the ways to jobs in the future, right? Technology is always taking away jobs, right? Autonomous, very, very underrepresented. When they say 7, I don't think it's 7G. I think it's three. But so yeah, so and like I said, once again, check out my man Tech G. Go subscribe to his channel. Uh, he's over there putting out great content. So let's see, Manpower, IBM. So two is, and also IBM did this too. They were actually in IBM HBCUs. They actually had quantum computing, and I think they had that for a couple years, right? So expanding the IBM Quantum Computer Centers. Once again, they had 13 universities: Alabama State, Bowie State, Delaware, Dillard, Florida A&M, North State University, North Carolina Central, South Carolina State, Tennessee State, and the University of District of Columbia, right? So obviously they have these universities they've been giving money to. So I'm hoping, like I said, I'm hoping it's gonna grow. We got to get young people interested in the cybersecurity because we always come up as the nerd or this is not hot or this is not, boomerang. That's before your time. Everybody's coming suited up in the office. I appreciate that, Tech G. So we just got to get kids into us. I like this because with those universities, you get the top students, and hopefully they're coming up with incubators. People don't realize when you get to Yale, Stanford, and MIT, if you come up with the idea, your first funding comes from the university, right? They have incubators and they have funding to get your business started because they know if you get to a billionaire status, you're going to give, $100 million to whatever school you went to, right? So hopefully these schools are growing that talent and putting that talent together, right? And coming up with ideas because people don't realize Google was a PhD project, right? And they funded into a billion-dollar company, right? You saw Zuckerberg, he left as a freshman, right, to start his company, right? He did that in school, right? And the school invested some in, they were giving him free computer time and free computer resources, right? Because he was spinning it out to universities because you used to have an EDU account to get on it, right? So that's where their college helps your students come together and they can start putting together big projects, big incubators, right? So distinguished faculty inclusion from the start. That shows you their make that a little bit. That's for the quantum computing. So if you put their cybersecurity with their quantum computing, right? I think you put those two together, right? So hopefully you'll start amassing IT talent around these Black universities, start growing. So once again, Delaware, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Texas, right? This is for the IBM HBCU Quantum Center. So those are two huge, I think technology changes and technology drivers, right? So hopefully we're in there taking advantage. But once again, too, we're going to look at a lot of universities, they're actually letting you get certificates, right? So you don't have to take all the social studies and the humanities, right? You can actually go in and we'll look at one where you can actually go to the university and get a certificate, right? Granted, that certificate's going to be a lot more than if you go over to Tech G and get that free 99, right, to get you started, right? And sometimes you need to get started with that before you jump into this, right? So they're not mutually exclusive or anything like that, right? You can do it all. So once again, this is the IBM Quantum. So then two is just look at one of the courses. This is from North Carolina. AT&T State University. Let's make this a little bigger. This is their certificate, right? Even though it's a university, you can get a certificate, right? So we're going to look at it from a high level and just see what they're offering, right? Once again, I dropped the link if you want to come up. So once again, let's see what my man Helman said. Try to remember professor. Yeah, Google. And he would be right. That's the move right there. That's what we need to get to. That's true. That's true. But those universities have been doing it for long. They're set up for their students. They know their students, especially the PhD program. They're spinning those projects off in the companies. All right, they're not spinning those projects up for them to go teach. They spinning that stuff out where you can be Google, Facebook, Instagram. I forgot what college those guys were in, right? So those big universities expect to you whatever your PhD project is probably going to be a company, right? And the cool thing a lot of people don't realize is I did a little work in Silicon Valley. It's millionaires out there that did those projects. Those projects never actually grew because Google, IBM, Oracle said they need that company as a piece of their product to go on their product line. So they would give them 10 or $20 million and they would never hit the market. You would never heard of them because they were just growing it up slowly. And a big company said, "Oh, we need that in our portfolio," and they would just buy it, right? Because Zuckerberg offered Snapchat like 800 million or a billion three, and they turned it down. So so I tried that for UNC. Okay, rather get the OCP or something. Okay. No, I feel you. Like you said, there's many ways to get into cybersecurity, OCP, offensive. Like I said, a lot of times too is before you get to this, a lot of times if you're new to it, and I just send somebody to Tech G's channel, I tell them check out Tech G or Master IT, check them both out, figure out which one you like. Because a lot of times if you have no experience in here, you need to take Tech G's channel to figure out even if you like IT, right? Because IT is so broad, right? So you need to get some fundamentals before you get in the game, right? So let's look at this cert. Like I said, a lot of universities doing cert. Undergraduate certificate in cybersecurity provides opportunities in students in all majors learning cybersecurity topics, concepts, and skills, pursuing, applying cybersecurity techniques and tools, perform effectively long learning, including cyber-related studies and graduate programs. So let's look at a couple of them. Applied Network or CS315, network security. So a lot of times I tell people, get in Network Plus to get you some basics before you get into Computer Science 420, right? You need to get your Network Plus, I think Tech G got a little bit for you on the Network Plus. Information security and privacy. Get your policies and procedure on web security. A lot of people don't know that's on the purple team websites, how you attack it. How do you do denial of service? How do you do cross-site scripting, cross-site forgery, command injection? That's all purple team attacking your web security. So once you go to one of these IBM cybersecurity, they show you how to lock it down. Special topics in criminal justice, cybersecurity, and investigations. The weird thing is I'm in room with lawyers all day, right? So a lot of times it's not cyber investigation. People don't know it's email harassment, people in work sending inappropriate pictures or whatever, or emails, right? All of that could be under cybercrime and investigations, right? I work for a large local government. They don't play that, right? Database security, one of my favorites. I've been doing Oracle for 20 years. My favorite database, even though it's kind of outdated. I'm probably going to switch over to AWS Aurora, which is MySQL and Postgres' engine, right? I think that's kind of the future. I've been doing a lot of AWS studying lately. So once again, embedded system, wireless communication, special topic on engineering, Android application development, right? So these are the certificates at North Carolina A&T, information security and privacy, and once again, web security. So they got two that's a 600 class. I look like that's for a PhD. But once again, it's a certificate. You don't have to take all the minutia of class, right? This is North Carolina A&T, one of the universities, got the cybersecurity division spinning up. So just want to come and see what they're producing. So once again, right, there's certificates, right? I'm studying for my AWS certificates. Tech G, I'm giving you a shout out. He's in the box. You getting your A plus, Network Plus, and I think he's working on this Security Plus soon. Like I said, putting out great stuff. Master IT's out there. So there's a lot of guys. Kev Tech, if you're getting your help desk on, shout out to my man, Keep It Techie. It's funny. So we're doing the Splunk Lab at home. Help me get in the SOC. Yeah, any lab's gonna help you get in the SOC, and Splunk is definitely the 800-pound gorilla. Because if you don't have experience, you're gonna have to show them a lab to show them that you got some experience or got some real world experience the lab or using that product, right? So 2 is doing a Splunk lab. I think there's a Splunk cert. I actually one of my good homies work at Splunk. I was just talking to him. He's a Splunk engineer, so I think I'm having him on my channel because Splunk, them dudes get paid, man. The only problem with Splunk though is it's so expensive. So only your biggest company's gonna have it. I work at a large state agency. We was like, oh, that's too expensive. So that's my only issue with Splunk. Because you're gonna work for a big company so you can make money, but it's not a ton of those guys out there, man. Because like I said, you talking about Fortune 500. I don't know any little companies dealing with Splunk because you're ingesting those logs. You pay by the ingestion. You don't pay by the software. So that's the hook. Every time any little byte you ingesting, ding ding, your price is going up. But that's definitely a good skill to have, right? So once again, we're talking about the certificates at college. That's another way to get in cybersecurity. Studying for your own certificate, like my man said, during your lab. Shout out to Dewan. I'm trying to lab every day. I've been doing a ton of AWS stuff myself, studying for the AWS architect certificate. Shout out to the old people. I don't memorize like I used to when I got in my 50s, but it's all good. I'm on the grind. So let's look at their regular cybersecurity courses real quick. Once again, this is North Carolina A&T, Agricultural Technical State. They got one of the IBM Cybersecurity Centers. So that's one reason I just wanted to just look at what they were producing there, which looks good. 3 fundamentals of information insurance. That's kind of what I do. Software strategies to exchange secure data encryption, strategies for protection information, right? Insurance is part of auditing, and usually you have to come up with some accreditation. I used to work for DOD, so we call it ATO, authority to operate. Meaning your system gets okayed by DOD to actually work. Shout out to Stalls. Yeah, Snort's free. I mean, Snort's more open source. So I would do either one because once you use an IDS, intrusion detection or prevention, both of those can do both if you dig into it, with depending on which module you get AO. As long as you labbing, because both of those are going to cross over each other. Both of those you got to set up the alerts. Both of them you got to figure out getting logs from different types of systems. At my work we've been talking about, you got to get it from the web server, app server database. You got to get it from the F5. You got to get it from whatever firewall you're using, right? Because you got to get logs from all those devices. Because if you get hacked, you got to be able to trace it from the start, and the hacker going through your web server, through your app server, through your database. What did they steal? Did they select every record? So you need all those logs from your organization to be able to trace that. So even if you're doing it in Snort or Splunk, just to be able to do it and understand, how to move between those different lines. Shout out to Struggle Security. I saw you liking it on LinkedIn. That's one reason I did it. Let me drop the link. I guess my other account still doesn't work. Let's see. I can see. Well, nah, something's up with you and Restreamed.io. I don't know what's going on with that, but shout out to him. I saw you liking it on LinkedIn, so I was like, let me go ahead and do this. I was actually going to do just a regular video. I didn't want to watch any more basketball. But once again, let's go through these. But so yeah, AL. So just understanding that from a lab perspective, Splunk or Snort, as long as you understand logging, getting logs from different devices. Yeah, shout out to Struggle Security. Go check him out. Definitely subscribe to him. He's definitely one of the OGs in security, doing it big. So yeah, AL, I would do either or. I probably, if you can get a lab on let me look back. I can't even think of the name of it. I just said it. If you could get a lab on it, I would go ahead and do the bigger one, not Snort. Which one? I just said the name of it. I'm blacked out. I'm so like I would do that one, right? Because if you master that, you can get on as a consultant and you can work at bigger kind for Splunk. If you AF, I would do Splunk. If you can get labs on it and do it, actually there's a Splunk certification. I think once you feel comfortable with the labs, I think you can get the Splunk certification and those guys get paid. Applied network security, information security, and privacy. Right. So once again, we're just looking at AT&T web security. A lot of times it's the same thing as undergrad. They just give you more work in graduate school, right? And this actually, I think, is for the bachelor's too: database, embedded design, wireless, special topics, web security. If you look though, and I think a lot of universities are hurting on that. Shout out to Struggle Security. I don't know universities really focus on though, and I don't think universities really focus on red team as much as an offensive security. What's your take on that, Gabe? I don't really see that in a lot of universities, red team classes and stuff.
Oh, my bad. Can you hear me? Am I on?
You on?
Oh, hey, yeah. Red team, yeah. I see some of those classes. Those are probably becoming more and more popular these days. But yeah, I'm not seeing like. So typically, you got to go to cert route if you're talking about exploit development, but like just basic pen testing using things like a vulnerability assessment, using like Nessus, or if you're using like Metasploit or something. I've been seeing some courses that include those type of tools. So
okay, is that newer? Because when I'm a little older, I didn't remember seeing that. I was going through AT&T because. Actually, I saw you like the article. That's the one made me. I was like, I'm just gonna go live and talk about it.
I've been seeing it a little bit newer. I know with speaking of my university, when I was getting my in my master's coursework, we did have a offensive cybersecurity class. We were going over a whole bunch of those like offensive security tools. So I've been seeing it. At least I saw it a part of my program. So yeah, man.
That's cool because, like you said, that seems to be the most glamorous part of IT is the red team,
part, right?
Yeah, the blue team, the hackers. Everybody be effing the blue team. We don't care about them guys.
but them jobs primarily lie in that defensive. I think we talked about that before, but yeah, it's more defensive jobs than offensive. But yeah,
a lot of people don't realize this. We don't have any red team.
No
specific jobs. I do a little bit, like when I harden, of course, I'm gonna do some minor scans, some vulnerability, but we don't have like a red team hack. Like I said, when I was at DoD, we outsourced that and we brought somebody in to do that.
So don't you all primarily do like vulnerability assessments? So you guys don't use Nessus. It's called ACAS, right? You guys use ACAS?
No, we actually use Nexus. It's weird because the IRS does that. And Booz Allen comes in there scanning our system. That's the only reason we do it. So we want to do it before they come in to figure out what our score is. So that's the only company that I do use when I first came here.
Okay, cool. But yeah, man, this is a good effort, man. I've been seeing this more and more people have been posting it. So yeah, I had to
What's your thoughts on it? I thought it was good, but the part I worry about is we don't seem to have the pipeline because in the Black community, IT is not cool. So it's kind of late to do it in college. Go ahead. What's your thought on that?
I think so. I think it's becoming cooler because, I think that there's been so much because so many people are so much more like their lives are being embedded so much more into the digital world. Everybody talks about the big tech companies. Google, Facebook, Amazon, now, even the conversations about Twitter and everything. So I think a lot more people are seeing these tech careers as something that's more cool, especially as like young professionals in many times, because they're seeing it like, oh, I can work from home now. I don't have to go anywhere in order to do this job. So I think it's becoming cooler. I think it's becoming cooler.
I said, I just hope so. So, I'm always saying I'm going to do something, but, trying to get middle school, getting something hip to get people in like sixth grade or something. Yeah. Because I think that's when you really get, kind of hooked. It's not saying you too late, but if you're getting in IT a lot of times at 23, 24, you can do well to make money, but you kind of late to the game. So you really going to have to hustle to catch up.
Right.
So trying to get people younger, but.
Yeah, but like even my introduction into tech, I did engineering early, but like tech was more of like I was probably that 23 or 24 age when I started getting into like IT type of things. Yeah. So
for me, I put that motivated. Yeah, I put those together. I put engineering, tech, So
Yeah.
I kind of put, because a lot of times those dudes are writing programs and design and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And if you designing stuff at the chip level, hey, that's binary. Hell, you right there. So
Yeah. Machiavelli saying that it's getting cool because of the money. He said, tell them about the money.
Facts.
I don't disagree. I don't
Nah,
disagree.
you right. The problem is though, when you look in the movies,
Yeah.
they make us look nerdy. Like if you look at Central Intelligence, the Asian guy, he looked goofy.
Yeah.
John Sally was on, and his other one, he had on big goggle glasses. Like, come on, man. Can we
Yeah.
you know?
I can see that, man. I can see it. Money could be the answer, but
It's
yeah,
always the answer. But but two though is, and I always get on my son and my young homies is they said it's slow money. I'm like, no, that's that money gonna keep you out of jail.
Right. That's
But
a fact, man. That's
a
a
lot of
fact.
people say it. So, but I tell people though, but
Yeah.
if you start off in middle school and you writing stuff, you building, and you getting your certs, a lot of high school are letting people get certs in high school.
Yes.
So when you come out, you could be A plus, Network plus, so you could be AWS certified by the time you graduate high school, and you could be ready. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get people to think of. You know, you could be right there.
And I just threw a link in the back chat that directly aligns with this as it concerns cybersecurity. I don't know if you're familiar with like the SANS institutes. They have an HBCU Cyber Academy. So that's a whole nother effort too, where they're really trying to reach into a lot of the Black communities and the Black universities to really try to bring them into cybersecurity. So did you get that link?
I did. I'm gonna post it.
All right. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's another one, right? These are working hand in hand. IBM, SANS, and these other tech companies, they're working together to really try to bring African Americans into cybersecurity. So I think it's a good effort all around.
You think it's helping though?
I do. So I saw the first young man. I actually connected with him on LinkedIn. It's a recent. He the first the first person to finish the SANS HBCU Academy. Okay. I think it's helping. I think it's helping because these certifications are seen in the field as prerequisites to getting a lot of these jobs. A lot of times it puts you a step above some of your peers that are trying to get in. So I think if you're equipping people with $7,000-$8,000 certifications, I think it will help them to transition to the field easier than somebody that's coming in from bottom. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I just worry about once again is we got to push them in there to make sure we get them in there. Like you said, any big organizations dumping money ain't gonna never hurt. We just got to make sure we taking advantage of them and doing an incubator, doing the big projects, getting people in, making it not saying making it cool, but making sure people doing the right steps, right, so they can take advantage of them.
So what do you think would be something to greater, I guess, keep them in there? Because you think that these are like efforts that are helping people to get an introduction, but you don't think it has sticking power? You don't think it has stay power or something?
No, I think it has stay power. I worry about can we get people in there to get them finished to take advantage of them? That's what I worry about. Like I said, I agree that those are great certs, some of the best certs. IBM been around for 100 years. Right. They still dominated in artificial intelligence, hybrid computer. They still got this. I just worry that we're not taking advantage of because a lot of times we don't consider it cool. That's the part I worry about.
Yeah, I can see that. Because I remember, so I used to work, I used to work at Mandiant, right? And I know that one of the managers, we were working on an effort because he was down there. He lives down there in Alabama. So we were working on an effort to teach like students, I think it was Alabama. It was one of those schools. Which one is in Huntsville, Alabama? Is that Alabama A&M or Alabama State?
I think it's Alabama, but I'm guessing.
Okay. One of the Alabama HBCUs, right? So we were trying to do like giving an introduction into cybersecurity careers. He does a lot of reverse engineering and malware reverse engineering. I was kind of going to focus on like the industrial cybersecurity piece. And one thing that he was having an issue with is getting people to commit. Right? He was having an issue with getting students to commit because they had other things that they wanted to do. Right? They didn't have such a focus on tech or anything. So it might not have had a lot of staying power with those guys. So
see that's what I worry about. Like you said, that was a great program. If you got in, you could dominate if you master. Two is they were doing it at a high level to make sure you get trained on the right stuff.
Yeah.
But once again, for some reason IT wasn't cool enough, or they wasn't sure, or So that's the part I worry about.
I think that's another thing, right? I think that the way that we'll know if it sticks at a staying power is seeing the numbers, right? Who's signing up for it? Who actually completes these programs? Who actually goes through it from beginning to end, and seeing some of those success stories. Of course, that's going to take some time, but yeah, man, I think that'll tell whether it's good or not. And that was another thing I put in there, that Google investing $50 million towards HBCUs to help the diversity gap. So, I mean, I think it's out there, but just like you mentioned, like, is it going to stick? Is it going to stay?
They talking about training 40 million people. That's the whole black population. It's on 42 million black people. That's babies and old people all together.
Because this is a multi-year effort. So they're like, as soon as they coming in, we want to make sure that
they have to, because Azure and AWS running away from it. So Google's like, we got to do something.
Yeah. AWS, man, these guys are taking over, man. I was talking to, man, they're doing so much edge computing. So like they're very much so focused now on IoT, industrial IoT. Oh man, I was talking to a director not too long ago. He was talking about how they just want to make like a lot of these industrial systems and devices just cloud instances rather than focus on-prem stuff, where traditionally this stuff has been on-prem. But anyway, that's a whole other discussion. But
yeah, we get the funny thing is, I've been studying for the foundation for AWS. They got a ton of IoT questions on there. You need to do this service to this, and this how you lock it down, and this is what we build especially for real time, and we can send it straight to an S3 bucket without a blink. So now they really focusing. I was surprised how many IoT questions was on the foundation one.
I'm telling you, IoT. I mean, it's just about to be regular now, right? I mean, you just have all these smart devices everywhere. So, those are very much so in all types of industries and enterprises these days. So, yeah, all right, they're with you, man.
You see this, like Miss K. My 21-year son wants to get in cybersecurity. We don't know where to send him at. College?
Where's he at currently? I guess that's a question, right?
Yeah. Where's he at currently? Does he want to, because certs is an option? What type? We were talking about industrial. I do compliance. There's so many ways to get in cybersecurity. I'm really big on networking and programming and first get you in as a basis, but
or even just connecting him with people. Him just creating, like, a good first step is creating a LinkedIn profile and starting to connect with people who are doing what he wants to do or he thinks he might want to do. And just sparking up a conversation with those people. So that'll be a good first step for sure.
Yeah, KP Bailey, ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. I'll be happy to have a started conversation with him. So definitely.
JC. Oh, a junior college. Okay. Transfer. This is stuff. Yep.
Starting him.
He 21. Have him start listening to these Professor Black Ops streams. I'd say that. Have him start looking at these streams. Man.
SOC is a good place to definitely start. So too is part of the SOC too is he going through logs? Is he labbing every day? He can get his snort on and start, putting your toe into that arena.
I think another one that was mentioned with Helmut Chili, he was saying that WGU, they have certain type of degree programs that are self-paced, right? You take those classes as you have the chance to learn the material and pass the exams and classes. You get certifications on the way. That might also be an option for him.
That's a great option. One of my buddies I work with went for WGU. I'm a big proponent of that. Splunk and Security Plus, facts. Splunk is a little expensive, but that's definitely the number one SIM logger out there.
Right. I wouldn't particularly recommend my university because I didn't pay for it. So
I didn't either.
Go for the university that was lower cost, but still offers a quality education, I would say that WGU. I heard a lot of good things about that university.
Yeah.
For sure.
And two is starting at your local community college, making sure
Yep.
your credits transferred to a larger university you want to go through. Especially, if you ain't trying to stay on the yard and step, that's definitely a great way to save money.
Yeah.
I remember Mark mentioning how getting minorities in tech and great numbers plays a huge role in economic equality. No, that's true, man. Because like I said, it's great careers, treating me well.
Right.
So I can't complain.
I mean, it happens so often for people from foreign countries. They come over, a lot of times Indian individuals, people from East Asian countries, they come over and start off working a job in these tech organizations, and they kind of build it up from there, able to put their kids through. Like it offers you a lot of different opportunities, right? Not everybody's going to be an entrepreneur, but there are a lot of people that can get into tech and really thrive in many cases.
Yeah. So on a more realistic standpoint is, if you get in tech, even at your local government, you can still make 80 or 90,000 in the Midwest, which is killing. I mean, shout out to Black Heights in town. They talk 200 and 400, but you can get in tech and make a more than, decent living.
Yeah.
The two is, a lot of people start in government. Once you get trained, you can go and easily make six figures in 5 or 6 years if you're in the right technology and in the right part of tech, or especially cybersecurity. You can easily do that. So,
and that's another thing. KP, has your son considered military service? That might be something that will be beneficial to him, where he can get all his education paid for. Can also get some military experience where you're touching real life equipment, get some real type of experience. That might be an option for him also. So,
And two is the other part. Yeah, the other part, what I did is, once you get your associate, once you get your first job, most time your job pay for your degree. You just got to stay. I got an MBA, was paid for by a Fortune 500 insurance company. So so that's definitely a good move to get in. Two is I would do a social degree. 4 years, 4-year degree is not bad, because once you're trying to get into management and directors, right, that's the bar, Ms. K. So I wouldn't poo-poo the 4 years. It's not necessary, but if somebody else gonna pay for it, I would definitely get it for the bar, because once you start going up, a lot of times if you and a person's equal, the degree is gonna actually kind of put you above them. So
because even now when people reach out, just even having like my bachelor's, they don't even talk about a master's. They just talk about my bachelor's in engineering. They look at that as something that's super duper valuable. They're like, oh yeah, that engineer. I'm like, man, I got that 10 years ago now. Like, it's been so long. It's been a while ago. So it's it still does say something later in your career. And right now, just like you mentioned it, man, I'm not looking to leave my current organization, but if anybody talking to me, I'm only talking senior manager or director or above, because I'm like, I'm not leaving for anything less.
And you should, man. You should.
Yeah.
So you see game over. Come on, guys. What info you got for the old people? And that's what we talk about. Certs.
Yeah.
Get your cert. You can get in. Hopefully you have some experience from what you did in the past that you can link it. Kev Tech always sends a shout out to his restaurant experience that helps him with help desks and getting with people to make those match. So shout out to. I'm 50, so but now when you get in, you got to start somewhere. So depending on the level of where you at.
That's perfect advice, right? I like people who are later in their lives. That means that you have been doing something throughout that time. Hopefully you've been doing something, right? Have chosen some type of career or some type of something, right? Leveraging what you've previously done in tech, combining that with something in tech. I know people who are accountants, right? They go into fintech, right? They can go into fintech, whether they want to be developers or machine learning, like all of that type of stuff is in that field. Or say, for instance, you were a nurse, right? And you're finding like, I'm tired of going to the hospital, I'm tired of doing these things. Healthcare tech is always out there. So, leveraging what you've currently done and combining that with some type of technology, I think that's very much on the way to go for those who are more senior in their lives. So, man.
And shout out to him. And he said, basically, we need Tiger Woods of IT to get people to come over.
Listen,
Get Drake rap about it.
go.
I don't have any. Go ahead. I'll let you chime in.
They did, right? Don't you remember that video? So it was a video with Future and Drake, and they were in the data center.
Oh,
They
that
were
is true.
troubleshooting some servers, man. I think I got it. It's something. So yeah, man, it's cool. Drake
We'll have
and
to do,
Future.
yeah, we'll have to do some. Amazon's going to be the Berkshire Hathaway on Amazon. If they're already there to me, Amazon is in so many different businesses. That's why the government's always arguing at Bezos. That's why Zuck is happy because they're mad at Bezos this week. Actually, they're mad at Elon Musk this week for Twitter, but Amazon is in everything. Go ahead, man.
No, absolutely. I'm right there with you because that news is becoming the news, right? This whole Twitter. I mean, Elon Musk. I mean, he would be considered by most people in the Black community as a nerd, right? He was this nerd that got rich, but he's literally at the top headlines is about a person who had used technology to progress in his career and in his life. That's different. Like other than Bill Gates and those guys back then, but they weren't mainstream news.
Right. No,
right?
They were not. They were not.
They weren't mainstream news back then.
Not.
So that's why I think the tide is changing. The tide is definitely changing.
Yep, WGU by Helmet.
Mm-hmm.
He's at a JC about to transfer the stuff is foreign to some of us.
Yeah.
You just gotta get in the game and learn. The cool thing though about now, because when I was young, you can learn like you said, there's a ton of good channels.
Yeah.
I'm studying AWS. AWS got 3 channels, man. They give out so much information on security and IoT, and this is the new hot thing. It's like
we got conferences, virtual conferences.
Oh yeah,
people online giving all types of game. Yeah.
There's just channels that straight AWS.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, Josh McAdor is cool. He has a channel, but he's more going towards software development now. He used to be heavy cybersecurity, but now he's switching it up.
I think he's going more software ops guy. I don't know who that is. I'm gonna have to go check him out.
Yeah, he's cool. I was researching everybody before I started. I was researching every single person. Because I was trying to be different, right? Like I'm trying to do something different, try not to or see what good things other channels have done and try to incorporate into my own. So yeah, it's a lot of guys out there like David Bombal, Josh McAdor. It's a lot of people.
Well, I miss program.
A good number. Mm-hmm.
I miss program. I'm gonna start doing program with security in AWS. Yeah, because now when you talk about the pipeline and that's what people are talking about, supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
They put the malware inside the code and they got pushed out by the vendor.
Yeah, man. So isn't that I think that's considered what we used to call a watering hole attack? Where I know that was very popular it was a type of industrial malware where it was a popular vendor where people had to download patches regularly, like firmware too, firmware and hardware and software. And they were literally the bad guys compromised the website where they downloaded the software and they were literally uploading malware onto their equipment regularly. So yeah, that's that watering hole attack, right? All the animals come to the watering hole to drink, but the watering hole is poison. So
the crazy thing is there was a lot of government agencies was using that software too. Yeah. I mean, that was a big company. So
So if you can get to the back end, and that's where web application pen testing or web application hardening or website hardening, it's when it becomes important, because if somebody gets to the back end, they can upload malware to it for everybody to enjoy.
It's over. It's over with. She said her nephew was going the military route. The cool thing is I used to work for DOD. Mm-hmm. I'm not. My father told me to go in the military, but a lot of those guys went at 18. They got off at 30, came back as a consultant.
Yeah.
Then came back as civilian. Then third time came back as a consultant. They were triple dipping.
There is never a shortage of defense work out there, whether through a firm, you can even 1099 it. You can work directly for the agencies. I mean, you name it. I mean, like the work you're doing, right? State agencies, like state government, or Yeah.
So appreciate the super chat, Blockavelli. But there's just so much, like you said. And two is when you're in the military and you go back to work for DOD or one of the government, you get first dibs because they give you extra points for being in the military.
Yeah.
So I work with a lot of guys I didn't think were very good, but they were in the military. So shout out to them for serving that country. So that definitely plays if you can make it through that, right?
Yeah. Does it help with like your what's that called? Don't you get like years or something?
Yep, you do.
Yeah.
So
So like
instead of you don't have to do another 30 in civilian.
Yeah.
I think 15 of your military count for your civilian. So
Oh,
I think
wow.
you just need to do half of it. I need to look it up, but it's weird.
Okay.
So they were doing
I
like
got you.
so yeah. So that's how they were coming. Then they were coming back as consultant. And
Yeah, man.
once you get high up, a guy I knew was 15, 14 was pretty high.
Yeah,
He was
GS
getting
13, 14, 15.
yeah. And long story short, the big companies like PricewaterhouseCoopers,
Yep.
Booz Allen wants to hire him because he can walk into people's office because he's known to figure out what's coming down the pipe.
Absolutely. And
So
that's
they
part
were
of what
hiring-
you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
That network, right? You
Yeah.
have network. I mean, you have connections with government agencies. Like you've been in boot camp with these people. You've worked with these people. You might even train some of these people during service. And
So that's half the battle.
Yeah.
Because I asked him, I'm like, dude, what you gonna do? You don't know how. You just order. He goes, dude, that's why I give access. I was like, oh, that's a different level. He said, I know most people. I can walk in their office.
Yeah.
I don't have to call anybody. I knock and come on in. I was
It's
like,
a fraternity. You guys are a fraternity.
Yeah.
Or / sorority. You guys are a Greek letter organization, pretty much. You have a network that not everybody is in. So.
No, that's true. I hear more about this face stealer malware. What's your take on the face stealer malware?
I haven't heard about that one. I have to look into that.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard. I heard of the wiper that was destroying stuff.
Yeah, that wiper is big, right? So that was like that in destroyer, or no, it's just in control. It's called in controller or pipe dream. They have two different names, and there was a wiper component to it where it gets into industrial environments, and that's the thing about like programmable logic controller logic. So it's written in like ladder logic or different types of industrial logic. This wiperware would wipe out all of that. So it wipes out the control mechanism for these devices, right? And it's like, crap, well, we have to reconfigure it or get the PLC programmers, the controls engineers to redo things so that we can make it do what it's supposed to be doing, right? Whether it's opening a valve or turning on and turning off lights or switches, and man, it's pretty. It's destructive at best.
So my question to you is, and you gonna understand this is, so you fell and open or close if it gets wiped out.
So it's supposed to fail. What it calls it's supposed to fail safe, right? So it should fail in a safe condition, and then it should switch. It should be an automatic mechanism that goes to the backup system. So typically, you want to in ways segregate your primary from your backup, and when something fails, it should have an automatic switch over to your backup, and then you should still be able to operate. Right, that's where you get into your confidentiality and integrity and availability. Right. We primarily want availability in control system environments. So that backup is extremely important. So. No, I can go on and on, man. Don't get me started now. All right.
I appreciate it, game over. Yeah. But the problem is a lot of times is, and we figure this out the hard way is, we're bit copying from our primary to our backup. So our disk are in sync, our database is in sync. But if the malware is on the disk, it's gonna get copied to the.
And that's the thing. That's why a lot of times you're supposed to separate those networks. They're supposed to be logically connected, but not logically from a network perspective, but like if one fails and it switches directly over to the other train, so the networks are separated, but it's supposed to fail over, if that makes sense.
It does, but how do you keep it updated? Especially at the, you want a warm site and you want a big copied up to the second, you got to copy it down there, so that's the dilemma.
We're still doing manual updates. So they're like controls technicians, vendor technicians who will literally go to a device with a disk, floppy drive. I don't know if you see those in a while, or like
I got a few of these here. Go ahead.
Yeah, like even a USB drive, and physically plug into it and update it, and then walk away. So they're still doing manual updates in many control environments.
Oh, facts. Because you got to be super safe when you, like you said, electrical, nuclear, right? You got to be. But we were going to one of our tabletop exercises. Somebody just kind of mentioned it. Well, if we get malware, want to get big copy down, and we were like, oh shit. Yes, we toast.
That's where your network architecture has to take that into account. It definitely has to take that into account.
So we were trying to figure out in AWS, you can go to another availability zone, but if we actually went to a different region, like you said, is we were going to do an image and just copy down the image, right? So then we would have to manually build everything off the image. So we're not copying disk and malware down there like that. So we were trying to, like you said, we got to copy some of it, but we don't want to disk copy because the malware. So what's enough separation for us to manually have to spin everything up and get it up in a decent SLA time too, right? So.
Yeah. And in many cases now, like some organizations are going with, so it's old as it concerns IT, but they're doing virtual environments for a lot of these type of devices.
Oh, facts.
Right. So there's like literally running like ESXi. So VMware ESXi server that has all of these different industrial images and the primary and backup. So sometimes if something fails, it just fails. Then it like erases and then it just returns from a previous restore point. So, that's also at times. But again, it can still have the ability to propagate even in a virtual environment. But
so that's kind of we figuring, especially which is cool in virtual is as long as we got the database and there's no malware in the database, we can rip down the VMs and spin those up fresh, right? So the only thing really you need to get you in sync will be your database, right? To keep that in, as long as you didn't have malware in there. So that's kind of what we're thinking about.
Yep, and that's where you start to harden that database, right? So you'll only allow certain ports, protocols, and services to run. It wouldn't be just those wide open ones, right? Sometimes you might even disable things like SMB. So it might not necessarily have a direct file share associated with it, but rather it's just So it can get deep when you're talking about your hardening and your.
I'm an old STIG guy, man. So we be hardening from a whole different perspective. So we be hardening so good you can't even work.
You can't run paint on it. You can't run nothing on it. You can't run any program.
I work with this old dude. Guy got mad because we were doing Oracle and he was doing it from the GUI. The old guy said, no GUI, we command line. The GUI could get him out. So you have to go straight VI for the terminal. So I work with some old grumpy dudes, man. So you not Vim. No, not even Vim. You don't even get an M on it. You straight VI. Straight VI. That's how old I am. So
that sounds like he was trying to keep his job. That's probably like what he was trying to do.
No, he's just weird, man. He just always like, we could go somewhere and we don't have any of that. We got to come from the root ground up. So you got to be able to do something. I was like, but once I did VI for about a couple months, you figured out, but it was a rough couple of months.
I still nano, man. I nano on Linux systems if I'm trying to like modify or create some type of file. That's how I modify myself. I don't do Vim. I don't do VI. I just open up a text editor on the Linux system and call it a day. I'm not trying to make things more difficult for myself.
It's weird because I've been doing a lot of AWS and they got something called System Manager where they don't really want you SHing in boxes. System Managers use some behind the ports, so that ports ain't even open. There's some special ports you can't even see. So they don't even want you to do an SH from a Bastion host off of AWS. I'm like, oh my God. That's some new stuff. So I'm just hoping these centers at these colleges would get more Black people and people of color in the cybersecurity. It's a great field. Hopefully, too, is, like I said, our state, we use a lot of colleges for parts of our SOC, all right, for both of them and us. So they can get real world experience too on that. So I'm hoping these universities reach out to their state government, because since IBM's theoretically helping them and giving them that bandwidth, that they go out and get extra assignments and extra work so the kids can actually work on real world projects. So
yeah.
So that's part of that.
I'm
And
sure it
two
has
is,
to has some level of labs in it or something.
oh yeah, they talked
Yeah.
about their range that they were doing in IBM. I think they're trying to push their own
Yeah.
range. So
Because we were
they
talking about
put,
cyber range. Hmm.
yeah, they got a cyber range that was part of the university that they were pushing as part of the
Hmm.
special curriculum was part of that. So they got their own cyber range
Okay.
and labs. Like I said, I've been doing a ton of AWS labs lately, and labbing every day helps, man. Especially with AWS got like 200 services, so trying to figure out all these services. Some of them I
Wow.
probably need, but just trying to get comfortable with the top probably 20, 30. It's like you talking about, they got a ton of IoT stuff. I don't think I'm ever going to be doing IoT, but that's coming up
Yeah.
in their certifications. What you do, your Kinesis fire hose for real time IoT. Then
Yeah.
they got a data structure that'll flow straight into, then push it out to a data warehouse for autonomous transactions and machine learning. They
Okay.
got all that stuff pre-built in there now. They got a
Well, that
service.
stuff is new to me.
Oh my god, man, it was
Yeah.
new to me. So, like I said, I've been trying to just do a little more AWS because
Hmm.
that's the 800-pound gorilla.
Dope. Dope.
Well, I think that's all I got. What I got? Iron 11.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Not too much more. Actually, it was funny as we were talking. I was pulling up my Linux terminal. I'm like, how would I do that? Like, how would what what would I do to create a file and modify it these days? Because I don't even think I have it. Oh no, I have VI.
yeah.
Oh, and I
VI
have
is root. You can't. I don't think you can take VI. That's like root. So you can. Yeah,
yeah,
that's like one of those rudimentaries. It's so old. It's never gonna go away.
it's here on my machine.
Yeah.
And I'm on Mac, so I'm like, oh
Oh
man,
yeah. Mac is just a stripped down version of Linux. So
yeah.
no, VI is king, man. So that's why the old dude's like, you gotta be able to do VI. We can use it anytime, anywhere. So I'm like, whatever. Like, come on, old guy, man. We can't run a.
I don't even know how to use it. Do you use it often?
I've been using a little more since AWS because the
Yeah.
crazy thing is people think I'm good. I know about 10 commands, man. I can VI name a file. I can.
You want to show me? I can share my screen. You want to do a demo?
No, I ain't doing no demo.
No.
I take I remember Control J will take your first and second line and combine them. DD and delete the whole line.
Listen, we can lab every day, man. I can share the screen. Let's share it. I can tell you how to do it in touch, but
I'm an old VI guy. It's funny because I was doing VI a little bit and I was creating some elastic application load balancer and I was spinning up on Unix and I had to create a hello world file and an arrow file and I don't know. I copied from my desktop and it has some weird endings on it, so I had to rename them real quick.
Okay. Cause I used to try to use it here and there, but I don't really know how to use it anymore. I was gonna see if you could show me. It's cool. Maybe next time.
Yeah, just Google it. You don't need 5 commands and you run.
I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. My community contract gives me everyone to be out. It's an old thing, Random. I don't know. Like I said, I'm like I was telling people at work, I'm old, man. I'm trying to do some new stuff. I just been doing VI, so everybody looks at me crazy when they see me doing VI.
Right.
I just VI file, create it.
Man, I use Nano all day.
Escape I insert a new line. So
yeah.
Like I said, I only know about 10 commands. It looks impressive. I don't know like 10 commands. Yeah. Shout out to that. It was all people trying to get BI never treat you wrong, but some things it's like, should you even learn it?
Yeah. At this point, it's just like purposeless a lot of the time.
Yeah, but for me though, is like I said, I'm getting comfortable with AWS. Then I want to start building stuff with CloudFormation straight from the command line, right?
Yeah.
So you start to spin up 100 VMs, you can't do them through the console. So that's what I want to get comfortable with next, using CloudFormation and they call it run command, and you can run it on 100 servers and run the same command and do what you need to do. So I'm just trying to get comfortable with those particular.
I typically use like a lot of these Linux, like creating files and things. Like I use it mainly to like either like put like password lists or write my notes or search through some log type of information. Yeah. I'm typically not using it in a like large capacity. So
right. So I think I don't know. So I work for big companies and we got 400 servers, 400 VMs. So a lot of times if you need to touch all that, you gotta you want to automate that and do it, because I had to do that stuff by hand in the 2000. That takes a
Yeah.
long time. You got to touch each individual file.
And that, yeah. So yeah.
So I'm trying to get comfortable automating those, because theoretically, especially since you spinning up VMs or you spin up EC2, you should make them all look alike. So if you need to run a command or yum update on all of them, you can just run a run command and it'll run them on all those particular VMs or servers, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's talking. We'll talk about this another time. Everybody talking about zero trust, right? That's the new thing. If you ain't doing zero trust,
everybody's talking about that.
Yeah, that's the new moneymaker. If you're talking about zero trust and how to lock down a network, right?
Yeah.
So that's the next future thing. For me, it's just a framework and how you do it.
I'm seeing that heavy, especially like with government organizations. Like I'm seeing
a
lot.
Yeah. Well, actually, Biden put that in the executive order. I've never seen anybody name a technology, even though it's more of a framework. He said zero trust in it. I'm like,
zero
technologies? I'm like, you're naming technologies?
I'm like, word?
So I'm like, okay, that's gonna be the big money maker. And shout out to Amazon for winning $1 billion cloud contract.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what brings about. Like, man, I gotta go get certified in AWS, man. I gotta add that to my little war chest. So, like, I just passed the practitioner. I'm like, oh my god, that's a lot of stuff, a lot of services. But it's cool. I'm getting it. So, like I said, I've been putting together me a file mover, a little project where I got this S3 bucket where you can manually drop files. Then I'm using their SFTP service, and I'm gonna create a cron job like I'm a company to automatically create a file and push it to the directory I wanted to go. Set up keys on both sides so it can sign in and move the file. So
I've never done much with cron jobs. So I know that they're like automatic jobs that run on the system.
Yeah.
You just use it to like update things and move things.
So I used to pay retirees, and what we use the cron job is the cron job would wake up every night and they would send us these files and people get paid. The cron job would wake up and said, okay, we got 10 files in this bucket. Take the 10 files. Then it starts calling all our programmers. So we'll call a Java out, and the Java will make sure all the files are in the right spot, right? Then that would kick off the jobs. So then a lot of times too is we do a batch, or every 5 minutes we wake up and say, oh, for this, they dropped the file. Look at F user, that'll make sure the file is in it, then transfer it. And once that's transferred, the cron job will run another. We was doing Oracle, we'll run a SQL loader and say load it into the database and kick off these database jobs. But the cron would run every 5 minutes to look for the file, or every hour or 15 minutes or whatever we were trying to do. We were using that. Now they got other stuff that'll do it. Like I said, old days it was just cron and Unix. So that's how we do it. So I'm actually trying to figure out what that looks like in AWS. I'm like, what y'all using for y'all scheduler, right? They got different. They got a batch scheduler. So I'm trying to figure out how would I do that in AWS and what services what I'm using.
Okay.
So because I programmed for 20 years, so there's different part of things I've always used. So I'm trying to, what's the modern way to do that, right? How would I check to see if a file is done, and when it's done, how do I kick it off to pay people getting into the database? Or like you're saying is, if I'm getting a ton of files like IoT, how do I process them, right?
Right.
Do I use IoT? If it's dropping, depending on what it is, it could be streaming data. So how do I kick off a job and get that data to where I want it, and get it in a queue, get it into a database, get it into a warehouse to start running predictive stuff. Shout out to Engineering Cannabis. Get it in the warehouse, get it into a machine learning project so he can slice off what he wants and upload it, right? So
absolutely, because it's like normalizing and formatting that data, making sure that you're not getting things that are redundant or repetitive.
Right. Facts.
A lot of times people they've been using a lot of JSON to do a lot of data analytics. I know with Python, you can do a bunch of what's that library? I think it's called Pandas. Pandas is the library that you can use. It's like a data analytics, machine learning library in Python where it works really good with JSON, and I think it works pretty good with text files too. So
it does, and that's kind of one of the things I talked about, and I'm gonna get with probably you and B2B. I'm working on that. Is they call it a data lake is a new term, so they call it the raw PARM. When I get that raw JSON, right? What pieces? Because you get a file, you only want, they give you 1,000 lines and 15 columns. You only want 3 columns of this 1,000 lines.
Right.
So how do you put that out, push that into something? Take your JSON and move it in. It's called Parquet, something that AWS like put it in a Parquet format, right? Then shout out to Machine Engineering Cannabis. He can start pulling stuff out the Parquet and load them into machine learning for the pieces that he wants. But the part of that too is, and I've done data where you got to get the file and you got to make sure the file is good. There's no raw records or somebody misconfigured or somebody fat finger, right? Is it all clean? If not, load these 99 in, and I got this one record. Leave that out there so somebody can manually change it and push it in the pipe, right? So what does that look like? How do you set that up in AWS and do that? And from a cybersecurity perspective, how do you encrypt it to make sure nobody's stealing it, right? How do you move it safely? How do you mention it in keys, right? So all this stuff you got to go through from a data lake. So I'm almost done with that presentation. So I think I'm gonna try to do a collab with B2B, and I'll see if you're available. So how to, like I said, and I was gonna do JSON, get a JSON record. They call it raw. Format that over into raw into a landscape, meaning it landed as raw. Now I'm kind of getting it into the right format so we can do what we want to do with it, right? Where do we want to store it? How do we want to store it? What analytic stuff do we want to do on it, right? So,
and then from a security perspective, you can take different tools, like you can run Zeek on, well, not JSON, but you can run, I think, like YARA rules and compare and contrast and seeing if certain hashes are there or things are malicious. And you can use different tools to be able to kind of iterate over that data to try to understand what's happening, give you some intelligence to it.
Right. Then two is doing log files. Your favorite thing, TPT. See how people moving inside your log files or what they're moving in there, but you got to get them into some place. Because big companies, man. Like I think Amazon was moving like 10 petabytes a night because they got 46,000 servers.
You talk about big data at that point. You talk about some big data.
That's past big data. I don't know what to call that. But no, that's but how do you move it? How do you make sure it's secure? Like you said, are you hashing it and checking the hash to make sure nobody changed it? Are we gonna get to that level? Right. There's just a ton of ways to do it.
Yeah, because there are certain things. I don't want to keep on talking because like you're trying to close down.
It's all good.
Yeah, we'll talk another time for sure.
But that's it. So I'm gonna wrap it on up. I thought this was cool. I saw you liked it, so I'm like, I'm just gonna go live. I was hoping you was gonna.
No, man, that's how I found out about a lot of stuff. Like you like stuff, other people like stuff.
That's how I found stuff.
Yeah, because LinkedIn gives that capability. Like you can see what people have liked, and other professionals, especially if you viewed their page or seen a lot of their content, they'll recommend those things that other people have liked that you closely associated with. So I like that. Yeah, I like that feature. I don't know exactly how they do it, but it's dope.
That's that big data. Like you said, that's that big data in the background.
Yeah.
Keeping track of a gazillion people liking stuff. That's the crazy part. That's that big data. Well, I'm gone, man. Everybody have a good night. Everybody have a happy hump day.
Yep.
Great. Shut it on down. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the super chat. So everybody have a great night.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming, Gabe. I appreciate it.
Peace out, man.